and I'd like to thank Deputy Nash for bringing forward this motion, which we will be supporting. There are some of us here who have a living memory of significant inflationary pressures. You know, I remember the impact on the country and indeed on the quality of life during the 70s and the 80s. It started with the oil crisis in 1973, where prices quadrupled in that particular year. There was immediate reduction in the living standards of people. And in 1975, the inflation had risen to 21%. It reduced over the next few years, but there was a rise again, and by 1981 it was back to 20.3%. In 1985 it had reduced to 5.5%. What you could buy for €100 in 1976, it would cost just 683 for the equivalent today. So that's what inflation does, and it doesn't stop at energy prices. It costs money to deliver to shops. Rises in the cost of food is partly a consequence of that, and it's the staples that you're seeing, you know, bread, the like of pasta, the like of milk, that are increasing and have a very significant impact, particularly with families where there are you know, a number of children. We could see that we all have to be concerned with what's happening on the Russian-Ukrainian border, because we can't dismiss that as a real prospect of further harm. Essentially, I raised this issue even before we had this spike in inflation. I raised this issue last week and pointed out that, like, our living costs before this inflationary spike are 36% above the EU average. We have the highest house prices in Europe, and we have the fourth highest energy prices in Europe. And we might say we're an island, you know, off out on the west coast of Europe, and that's the reason that's happened. But compare prices between north and south, houses, between Belfast and Dublin, or Cork and Derry. There's a significant difference. Look at food prices. So I don't accept that, and I don't accept nothing can be done about those. This is a Europe-wide crisis. It's an international crisis. We accept that. But is that not the opportunity to do something collectively about this? You know, because it will equally have a bearing on household bills in other jurisdictions. People are genuinely choosing between heating their homes and putting food on the table. They're genuinely doing that at the moment. We heard that from St Vincent de Paul yesterday, and the number of people who have been making contact with them. This is not something we can ignore. It is having a direct impact on, you know, not only the quality of life, but on the health of the nation. You know, Deputy Sherlock made the point, and I agree with him, and I raised it with the Taoiseach some months ago in relation to the cost of energy in terms of businesses. And I raised one particular local business with more than 100 employees, where they said they wouldn't lose business, but they wouldn't win any new business as a consequence of it. So I think that, you know, the government are you know, gaining by virtue of the fact that increased prices brings in increased taxation by way of VAT. We're starting to look at things like a newspaper article this morning. Energia paid 30 million in dividends as profits soared during the last financial year. So this is not just a one-way street either, and the government does have to take more immediate action and really recognise we have a problem here.